Good morning, everyone. I'm Wayne Barwise, Executive Vice President, Cadillac Fairview, and good morning and welcome to our guests, Ministers Surma, Clark, and Mayor Tory. And thank you very much for being here today. I'd like to welcome you to this milestone event at East Harbour, the future site of a 13 million square foot vibrant, sustainable, transit-oriented community. In fact, behind me over here is the rail corridor and what will ultimately transform into a world-class station, what we often refer to as Union Station of the East. But we would not be here today moving forward with East Harbour and several other transit-oriented communities if not for the collaboration between the city, the province, and the private sector. So I'm pleased to introduce Minister Surma, Minister of Infrastructure, who'll speak more about our partnership and this truly once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and the many benefits that the TOCs will provide for the people of Toronto. So, Minister Surma, over to you.
Good morning. Thank you for being here, and thank you to Minister Steve Clark, Mayor Tory, Infrastructure Ontario's Michael Lindsay, Metrolinx's Phil Verster, and Wayne Barwise, Executive Vice President, Development at Cadillac Fairview, for being here. Without your hard work, support, and partnership, this would not be possible. Today is a day I have been working towards for many years, and I cannot tell you how thrilled I am to be standing here with all of you to celebrate this exciting news for both the City of Toronto and Ontario's plan to build transit-oriented communities in the GTA. TOCs will create vibrant, complete communities near transit and will include a wide array of community benefits from a diverse range of commercial and residential spaces, including affordable housing, retail, food, cultural uses, public amenities, parkland, and more. Last week, Toronto City Council approved moving forward with agreements with the province to implement TOCs at 5 stations on the Ontario line. One here at East Harbour, and the others being at Corktown, King and Bathurst, Queen and Spadina, and Exhibition. We thank the City for their support and commitment to working together to move forward with these important transit projects. I am also very proud to announce that Ontario has signed an agreement with Cadillac Fairview to build the transit-oriented community at the future East Harbour Station. The agreement will build a transit-oriented community right here on this 38-acre site and is expected to bring more than 50,000 jobs, daycare spaces, a community centre, public art, and approximately 4,300 units of housing, including affordable housing options. Ontario is rethinking the relationship between transit, housing, and commercial spaces to support vibrant mixed-use communities. The TOCs at Corktown, Queen Spadina, King Bathurst, and Exhibition stations will include their own array of amenities and community benefits and become a place for people to come and explore, as well as serve the residents who live, work, and play there. By all parties working together, we are making significant progress on all of these proposals because we know that transit-oriented communities increase transit ridership and reduce gridlock, create much-needed housing supply and jobs, enable complete communities to be built based on good planning principles, allow the province to offset the cost of transit construction and reducing the burden off the taxpayer, and of course stimulate the economy by creating major projects that extend out several years from today. People want to live near transit, and we are delivering for the hard-working Torontonians. We must seize a once-in-a-generation opportunity to help families and businesses by giving them better access to transit in their own neighbourhoods while leveraging third-party investments to build the much-needed transit infrastructure, which will bring so many benefits for our residents, businesses, and municipalities. Under Premier Ford's leadership, we have one transit vision that is supported by all levels of government. We know that now is the time to build better, integrated, vibrant communities near transit stations on the 4 priority transit projects in the GTA and across the existing GO Rail network where it makes sense. We have worked tirelessly with our partners at the City of Toronto to support this vision. And today is a big day as we are here together to announce the next step. We remain strongly committed to our ongoing collaboration with the City of Toronto and our partners, and we will continue to work together to build upon the city's reputation as a world-class destination. This is an incredibly exciting time, and I can't wait to see our transit vision become reality as we continue to build Ontario. Thank you, and I will pass it over to the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, Steve Clark.
Thanks, Minister Surma, for your kind introduction. It's a pleasure to be with you all today. My friend Mayor Tory, Phil Verster, Michael Lindsay, and Wayne Barwise. So thanks for all of our partners. We're celebrating today our strong partnership to create these transit-oriented communities. And folks, it's no secret. Ontario has a housing supply crisis. Our government inherited this crisis following 15 years of inaction by the previous government. Under the leadership of Premier Ford, we're taking action to address the supply crisis head-on. I was so pleased to grant Minister Surma's request for Minister Zoning Orders, or MZOs, to support these transit-oriented communities and build the foundation for complete communities where people can live, work, and play. Minister Surma just mentioned the number of homes and jobs that will be created right here at East Harbour. Looking at all the TOC projects that we're announcing today, we are creating approximately 7,000 new homes and almost 55,000 jobs. This is the kind of bold action that Ontarians have come to expect from our government, and I'm proud of the work we're doing to build homes and create jobs for all Ontarians. Over the past 4 years, our government has used MZOs to accelerate over 65,000 homes and over 120,000 jobs. We're a government that builds. Our success in building homes and creating jobs is a testament to the strong partnership we have with our municipalities like the City of Toronto and the community building industry. Addressing the housing supply crisis is a long-term strategy that requires long-term commitment and partnership at all levels of government. These transit-oriented community MZOs are part of our government's long-term plan to work with all of our partners to build the right mix of housing in the right places. And this includes the More Homes for Everyone Act. Together, we are making it easier for hardworking Ontarians and their families to find the home that meets their needs and their budget. And we are building a bright future for Ontario. Thank you so much, and now I'm pleased to invite our outstanding Mayor, John Tory, to say a few words.
Thank you, Minister. He can afford to say outstanding because he's from out of town. But having said that, I am delighted to be here with Minister Clark and, of course, with Minister Kinga Surma, with Phil Verster, the CEO of Metrolinx, with Michael Lindsay, the CEO of Infrastructure Ontario, and with Wayne Barwise from Cadillac Fairview. Today is about the partnership between the city and the province, a partnership that is going to get transit built in Toronto, get people moving, and make sure that when we build transit, that we also at the same time maximize all of the benefits that it brings, including more housing and including in particular more affordable housing. We know that Toronto is growing. We know that a big part of that growth requires continued investments in transit from the city, from the province, and from the Government of Canada. And I'm so proud that as Mayor I've worked with both of these governments to break the gridlock when it comes to transit planning and the financing of transit and get on with building transit. And I thank the governments very much for their partnership. The transit plan is a monumental gain for our city. $28 billion of transit that is being built as we speak. We got another project underway yesterday in Etobicoke. $28 billion coming from the governments. And now the challenge for us is to keep that transit on track, keep the building of that transit on track, and that will be my focus for as long as I'm mayor. We also know, though, that when we build transit, we need to be able to address other infrastructure needs in our communities. It's not just about building transit stations and transit lines. They're important. We also want to build communities where people can live and where they can grow and where they can play, where they can call home, and build as many of those kinds of communities near public transit as we can, because that's going to be good for our environment. And today is an example of that work that we're doing to create complete communities alongside new transit projects in the City of Toronto. The East Harbour transit-oriented community is a good example of that. and it gives us an opportunity to create a substantial mixed-use major office hub immediately east of downtown Toronto. East Harbour itself will become a major transit hub east of the Don River that will provide strong transit connections. It'll provide connections to jobs, to services, and to other opportunities for people from right across this region. It will be a crucial stop on the future Ontario subway line and a key interchange station with the Smart Track stations on the Lakeshore East GO line. Commute times will be shortened. That's good for families. Connections to other major destinations will be enhanced, and transit hubs such as Union Station. This will all be improved for all transit riders. The overall development will also create more opportunities for active transportation, including pedestrian and cycling connectivity. When we invest in transit, we are not only making the city more livable, we're also creating new alternatives to driving, which helps to make the city greener and cleaner and helps us to achieve our ambitious climate change goals. But like I mentioned, this is about so much more than building transit, as important as that may be. Transit-oriented communities are how we create long-term change. When we think of creating complete communities, we are helping economic growth in this area. This area right here, this place here will become a major business hub. 50,000 jobs have been mentioned, and that's the number of jobs that are going to be brought here in office and retail and other service sectors. East Harbour will also bring about new community and public spaces for people to enjoy. Just last week at our City Council meeting, my colleagues and I voted unanimously to require Cadillac Fairview, and they've agreed to include in this development a minimum of 215 affordable housing units, and it'll be guaranteed affordability for 99 years. They'll also include 2 child care facilities, a new community recreation centre, and we'll see $2 million in the development of public art for this area and another $2.5 million in upgrades to off-site local library services, which will be contributed to by Cadillac Fairview. And I thank them for those contributions. I believe it's part of their responsibility, but nonetheless, they agreed to do these things. And all of these things will come into being because of this development. The city will also do its part to make this a reality, all of this with a very substantial contribution to flood protection for this area. We'll be contributing 1/3 of the costs of the Broadview Eastern Flood Protection Project, which will address flood vulnerability for an 8-hectare area, more than 2 football fields, while also ensuring that flood risks are addressed when development begins across this place and beyond. This is all good news, and it is only possible when governments work together to get things done and to get real results. We are taking steps to protect the progress we've made, to protect this area while also building it up and developing it for people to enjoy, to live and to work and to play. This really is an exciting community building opportunity for our city, and I look forward to continuing to work with our partners, the government partners and with Cadillac Fairview, to realize the full potential of East Harbour. I am confident that by continuing to work in close partnership with the province and Cadillac Fairview and with the federal government, we will bring about good development for Toronto, good, complete communities where people can live and work and play, where we can enhance our environment and build up the economy. So again, I want to thank the ministers. Both of these ministers I work closely with. They are continuing to invest in a number of different ways in Toronto, and I want to thank them for understanding the importance of transit in the city and the complete communities that go with that transit here in the City of Toronto. We all have a role to play, and I think when you see us standing up here together, you can see that we are moving ahead together. This city, the City of Toronto, was by any standard internationally strong and growing stronger before the pandemic. All of the sources of that strength are still here, especially a big pool of smart people. I look forward to the critical challenge of achieving a strong recovery for the City of Toronto. It will be my main focus of attention as mayor, and this project will allow us to build on our strengths, and I look forward to helping make it happen together with all of our partners. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Tory, and I'd like to extend Cadillac Fairview's sincere gratitude to you, Mayor Tory, Ministers Clark and Surma, for having the vision, and it is real vision, to bring commitment and the commitment to bring East Harbour to life. You know, remarkable things can happen when there's a shared vision, especially those based on bold, long-term, sustainable growth, and that's very much the story behind East Harbour. As set out in the original master plan, we remain committed to the 10 million square feet of commercial space, but we've always believed that for East Harbour to be a truly compelling 24/7 community, the appropriate introduction of residential was required. Now, with this agreement, the site where we stand will include a rich mix of office, residential, cultural, entertainment, and community facilities served by a multimodal transit hub consistent with the best practices of sound planning policy. Once complete, this 13 million square foot East Harbour community is projected to accommodate 50,000 permanent jobs, 4,500 construction jobs, and provide over 4,000 housing units, inclusive of affordable housing, which is absolutely critical given the housing shortage that we're facing in the city and indeed across the country. Over the long term, Cadillac Fairview will be investing $12 billion at East Harbour, further demonstrating our commitment to this project and this city. And that makes it one of the largest transit-oriented new communities to be built in Canada. It's not the first time Cadillac Fairview's undertaken such a transformative project, and all you have to do is look to the South Core, where over 15 years ago the area was vacant parking lots. We introduced its first development, Maple Leaf Square, which became the catalyst for approximately $4 billion of subsequent development, including our latest project, 16 York, which is currently leased to best tenants like MBA and Investment Management Corp of Ontario. So together with the city and the province, we're once again investing in the future of Toronto for generations to come. I thank all of our honorable guests today. We thank them for their partnership, and I now invite the speakers to approach the podium for questions of the media. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the media Q&A. As a reminder, one question, one follow-up. First question.
Hi there. My question's for Minister Surma, if I may. I wanted to ask you about the timeline for these transit communities, and if you can give us a sense of what you think it will look like and when people would actually notice a difference.
Well, it varies. This particular site is a partnership opportunity with Cadillac Fairview, and there's still some work that needs to be done in terms of flood mitigation and flood protection that the City of Toronto and the Province of Ontario will work towards, but that needs to be done immediately in order to develop these lands here. In terms of the other 4 sites that we spoke about, we're going to be very busy at MOI and IO to make sure that we prepare the market offerings so that we can bring these proposals to market in the fall.
Thank you. My next question's for Mayor Tory. Wanted to ask your opinion, sir, on the report the Board of Health accepted yesterday, talking about the concerns of COVID-19 on children, the mental and physical impact. Do you feel the city and the province are doing enough right now to address this issue?
I think we're learning day by day about some of the impacts that the pandemic has had on children, and I think it's going to be, as it has been, a 2-year period during which some of these problems have arisen. It's going to be a period of time going forward where we have to keep looking at what the impact has been on children, especially as regards mental health and their learning, and take steps together. Again, this is going to be another example where we're going to have to work together with the school boards, the province and the city to make sure that we can provide those kids with all the support that they need. But I think we're in a period right now where we're learning about those impacts. That study was an example of that, and I can tell you that certainly for our part, we are very determined to move forward, recognizing that many of the things that will be done to support those kids and make up for some of the impacts of the pandemic will be part of the provincial healthcare system and the education system, which is overseen by the school boards. But the city will be very willing partners through public health and otherwise in making sure those kids get that support so that they can be restored, hopefully, to a position where it's as if the pandemic never happened.
Next question.
Paul Smith from CBC, and this is for Mayor Tory.
No.
Don't go very far.
I was just going to leave.
I know you were. And just touching on that same subject, the Board of Health is asking the province to give the city's top doctor more power to reimpose mask mandates in some settings like schools. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I met with Dr. Davila as recently as this morning, and what we have found is, first of all, I should say that for myself, I have accepted without reservation or qualification, after a lot of questions that I ask, her advice on everything. I'm not a doctor. I'm an elected representative, and I have important decisions I participate in, but when it comes to these kinds of things as to what's best to deal with COVID-19, I have accepted her advice without qualification. And so we've talked a lot about masking. I heard the comments yesterday of Dr. Moore, and if what I believe he said is what they're going to do, which is to, on a province-wide basis, maintain masking in place for transit and other sort of higher risk places like that, I support that. And I think that we should confirm that as soon as possible so people know that's going to be the practice. Because I don't think there's any doubt that there's been, some diminished use of masks since the rules changed. That's because people understood it was their choice, and indeed it is. But I think the message that we've been trying to get out there, I have been, Dr. Davila has been, Dr. Moore has been, is that the pandemic is not over, that the wearing of masks is still very advantageous to stopping the spread or slowing the spread of COVID and the variants, and that in certain places it's going to still be required. And I think that's the right thing to do. And so I will certainly be supporting that, and I will abide by Dr. Davila's advice on these matters as I have through the pandemic, because she's the one that we entrust with that responsibility. She's the one with the medical expertise to know what's best, and I follow that advice, as I say, after asking a lot of questions, which is also my responsibility.
Next question. Folks can come up to the microphone, or they can just speak where they're standing. As there are no further questions, this concludes today's event. Thank you very much, everyone.